Have you ever whispered a prayer into the darkness, only to feel like your words disappeared into an empty void? You've asked, you've pleaded, you've even bargained with heaven, yet silence seems to be the only response echoing back. Tonight, countless souls are lying awake wondering if their prayers are traveling beyond the ceiling, or if something invisible is blocking their connection to the divine. What if I told you that 3 simple words you speak regularly might be creating barriers between your heart and heaven's response? You thought God had forgotten your name, but maybe the silence isn't absence. Maybe it's preparation for something your soul isn't ready to receive yet. There's something profoundly vulnerable about prayer. In those quiet moments when you close your eyes and speak to the unseen, you're exposing the rawest parts of your heart. You're admitting you don't have control, that you need something beyond yourself. And when that sacred conversation feels one-sided, when your words seem to vanish into an endless silence, doubt begins to creep in like shadows at dusk. You start questioning everything. Is anyone listening? Am I saying the right things? Have I done something wrong? The nights feel longer when your prayers feel unheard. You replay conversations with the divine, wondering if you missed something, if you failed to say the magic words that unlock heaven's attention. Friends share testimonies of answered prayers while you sit quietly, wondering why your breakthrough feels perpetually out of reach. The weight of unanswered longing settles in your chest like a stone, and you begin to wonder if faith is just beautiful mythology for those lucky enough to experience miracles. Would you still trust divine timing if it meant waiting longer than you hoped? Would you still believe in love if it required more healing first? Would you still have faith if the answer came in a form you didn't recognize? These questions aren't tests of your devotion. They're invitations to go deeper, to discover that sometimes what feels like divine silence is actually sacred preparation happening in dimensions you cannot see or be. Maybe that's why it's been taking so long. Because heaven's been building your heart first. Think about a master gardener who sees a plot of land differently than an untrained eye. Where you see empty soil, the gardener sees potential. Where you see delay, the gardener sees necessary preparation. The ground must be tilled, enriched, cleared of stones that would prevent deep roots. What looks like nothing happening is actually everything happening beneath the surface. Sometimes the words we speak reveal the condition of our spiritual soil. When we say, "I doubt," we plant seeds of uncertainty that grow into forests of confusion. When we declare, "It's impossible," we build walls where bridges should exist. When we whisper, "I'm not worthy," we create barriers that separate us from the very blessings we're praying to receive. These aren't just words, they're spiritual declarations that shape the landscape of our faith. Our minds crave quick answers, instant gratification, immediate relief from discomfort. But faith teaches us to sit with questions until peace becomes the answer. It invites us to trust processes we cannot fully understand, to believe in outcomes we cannot yet see. This isn't passive waiting. It's active trust, the kind that transforms doubt into surrender, impatience into wisdom, desperation into deep knowing that what is meant for you will not pass you by. Maybe it was never about getting what you wanted when you wanted it. Maybe it was about becoming someone who could handle what you're asking for. Think about the prayers you whispered 5 years ago. Some were answered in ways you didn't expect. Others led you down paths that seemed wrong at the time, but now feel like exactly where you needed to go. The divine has a way of answering prayers in the language of experience, rather than immediate gratification. Consider how a pearl is formed. It begins with irritation, discomfort, something that doesn't belong. The oyster doesn't push the irritant away. Instead, it surrounds it with layers of beauty, transforming what once caused pain into something precious. Your unanswered prayers might not be rejections. They might be irritants being transformed into pearls of wisdom, patience, and deeper faith than you thought possible. The 3 words that block your prayers aren't curses or blasphemies. They're subtle expressions of doubt that we speak so casually we don't realize their power. When you say, "I doubt," you're not just expressing uncertainty. You're planting seeds of instability in the soil of your faith. When you declare, "It's hopeless," you're not just acknowledging difficulty. You're closing doors that divine intervention could open. When you whisper, "I'm unworthy," you're not just being humble, you're rejecting the love that wants to reach you. Faith isn't about perfect certainty. It's about choosing trust even when you cannot see the full picture. It's about speaking life when circumstances suggest death, declaring possibility when logic suggests limitation, affirming worth when experiences suggest otherwise. Your words have creative power. They don't just describe your reality. They participate in shaping it. One day you'll look back and realize the silence wasn't empty. It was the sound of your roots growing deeper, your character strengthening, your capacity for joy expanding. What felt like divine neglect was actually divine protection, keeping you from receiving blessings before you were ready to steward them well. The waiting wasn't wasted time. It was sacred preparation for something your heart couldn't have imagined in its smaller, earlier version. The prayers you think went unheard were actually being answered in the most beautiful way possible, not through immediate gratification, but through gradual transformation, not through quick fixes, but through deep healing, not through getting what you wanted, but through becoming who you were meant to be. If this message reached you at the right time, take it as a quiet sign. Your waiting isn't wasted. You're being prepared for something sacred. Write Amen in the comments if you receive this message with faith, and subscribe for more reflections like this. Let's keep walking this path of peace and purpose together. Your prayers aren't broken because of what you've done wrong. They're blocked by what you keep saying right. 3 words slip from your lips so naturally you don't even notice them anymore. But heaven hears every syllable, and these particular words create walls where windows should exist. They build barriers in the very space where miracles are meant to flow. The first word that blocks your prayers is maybe. When you bow your head and whisper, "Maybe God will help me," you are not expressing humble uncertainty. You're declaring fundamental doubt about the character of divine love. Maybe suggests possibility where certainty should dwell. Maybe implies that the creator of the universe might be too busy, too distant, or too indifferent to notice your need. But faith doesn't live in the land of maybe. Faith plants its feet firmly in the soil of knowing. When you pray with maybe in your heart, you're like someone knocking on a door while simultaneously walking away. You're asking for help while preparing for abandonment. The word maybe reveals that you're hedging your spiritual bets, keeping one foot in trust and one foot in self-protection. But divine love doesn't respond to divided hearts. It flows toward those who approach with wholeness, even if that wholeness includes honest struggle. Replace maybe with certainty. Not the kind of certainty that demands specific outcomes, but the kind that rests in unchanging character. Instead of, "Maybe you'll provide," try, "I trust you to provide," in ways I cannot see. Instead of, "Maybe you'll heal this," declare, "I believe you're working even when I cannot feel it." The shift from maybe to certainty doesn't guarantee immediate answers, but it creates clear channels for divine communication to flow. The second word that blocks your prayers is impossible. When you look at your circumstances and declare them impossible, you're not being realistic. You're placing limitations on limitless love. Impossible is a word that belongs to the vocabulary of fear, not faith. It builds walls around your imagination, shrinks your expectations, and tells heaven that you've already decided what cannot be done. The third word that blocks your prayers is never. When you whisper, "This will never change," or "I'll never be enough," you're not just describing your present reality. You're speaking finality over situations that divine love wants to transform. Never is the language of hopelessness, and hopelessness cannot coexist with the kind of faith that moves mountains and opens hearts. Never builds walls around tomorrow before tomorrow even arrives. It tells your soul that what you see right now is all there will ever be. But faith knows that never is just another word for not yet. When you replace never with not yet, you create space for miracles to breathe, for possibilities to unfold, for divine timing to work its mysterious alchemy in your life. Your words have been shaping your spiritual atmosphere more than you realized. Maybe impossible and never aren't just vocabulary choices. They're declarations that either open doors or close them, that either invite divine intervention or politely decline it. But now you know, and knowing means you can choose differently. Tonight, when you bow your head to pray, listen to the words flowing from your heart. Catch yourself when maybe tries to slip in, and replace it with trust. Notice when impossible wants to limit divine possibility, and speak potential instead. Feel when never attempts to close tomorrow's door, and declare, "Not yet," with quiet confidence. Your breakthrough isn't blocked because heaven stopped listening. It's waiting for you to speak the language of faith instead of the dialect of doubt. Start tonight. Your prayers have been heard all along.